So the goal here is one, to have some wisdom, learn some wisdom which you carry home and have a conversation, but also to have some understanding of what it might look like as you get older.
I'm a farm labor contractor. Some people are known as, recall what I do as contratista. That's what my dad used to do the same thing. He passed away and I continue it. And gracias a Dios, I'm still doing it. And that's what I do for a living. I'm retired as far as through the government, but I'm still working.
School for me, I struggled with school because I struggled with authority, except for when I was at home because I had a lot of respect for my parents. I struggled with reading, and so that was tough for me to go through and figure out how do I get through the day, each day, especially when they called on me to read out loud because I struggled with that. It was a little bit embarrassing for me, and I knew that I wasn't probably going to go to college, but I needed some discipline. So after school, rather than going to college, I joined the Army, and I was in the Army for 2 years. In 17 weeks, I got to remember I had to fulfill my agreement for the training as well.
My dad used to work in the fields. Before school would end, we would come over here, work in the fields, and then by the time we got back home to Laredo, it was already like 2 months into school. So I used to have to go to a different area, and I used to be bullied a lot back there. And I think that's why I hated school, the bullying. Because there was a lot of days that I wouldn't eat lunch because they kept pushing me to the back. And like I said, I think that's why I didn't like school.
I graduated from secundaria, which is high school. I wanted to continue, but I didn't have no money. By then, my dad was a mechanic, so I started helping him. And my plans were to be a doctor, but I started working, helping my dad, and this wasn't making enough money, to go continue school.
He talks about regretting not going to school. For me, though I'm a director, I'm as far as I can go with the company, right? I can't go any higher. I'm not going to be a vice president. I'm not going to be the president or CEO of the company, because the expectation is that you have a degree. For somebody like me, that's pretty humbling because I feel like I'm pretty good at my job and I could do those jobs, but it's the requirements of the positions, I told my son Taylor, I said, look, I want you to get a degree, and here's why. Because I'm capped out where I can be. But in hindsight, if there's one thing I could do, I wish I would have just went back to school and made that commitment.
It's a regret because I wasn't able to go, not by choice that I wanted to quit, but I always tell my grandkids now, and I always told Jess, I don't regret the life I'm living right now. Thank to God, financially we're doing fine and stuff. But I always thought in the back of my mind, I wonder what it would have been like if I would have at least graduated from high school. If I'm doing this good now, I would open a few more doors.
Even though I say I hated school, yeah, but I also had to go work also to help my parents too. But yeah, I mean, if you want to get anywhere, if you want to do better than us, you need to get a degree. You need to go to school, and that's why us as parents, we busted our butts, so you can go to school and be better than us. And hopefully our kids will do better, the same thing to better their kids.
Made me think, well, Spanish people here, they are not well educated. White people, they are good educated. Why is that? I start thinking, why is that? Now, after 30 or 40 years, I see different now. Now I see guys like my son. He's the only one that graduates from college. I see a lot of guys graduating from college now. But 30, 40 years ago, rare to see some guys graduating from high school, probably college.
A lot of times we get it as, they don't know what they're saying. They're crazy. They're old. We're telling you because we've been through the same thing my parents used to tell us.
Yeah, it was hard. I think about it. My dad finished the 8th grade, and then he came from a family of 11, so he had to go to work and help the family. And that's why I think he pushed me and my brother and my sister to go to school and try to continue our education, is because, like you said earlier, Dave said, he's trying to make the next generation succeed more.
Well, when I was at a very young age, we used to live out on the farm in Hudson, actually not far from Fort Lupton, where I live now. And I recall we used to live at a farmhouse, and it just happened the school bus used to stop right in front. But right across for the highway, there was a field where we used to work. So every morning before I went to school, I used to work for about an hour. And then in the evening, I used to work a couple hours. And my lesson that I learned there, I was taught a very good, it was a hard way to learn, but I learned a very good work ethic. And my way of thinking now is that for us Latinos that had to grow up in the fields, that if you had the chance to work in the fields, I believe that regardless of the job you were doing in the fields, after that, after you had that experience, you can work just about anywhere, as long as you're taught what to do.